I feel like I finally let go of the incessant hold that comparison to others had on me for so much of my life. And I'm sure that you're not a stranger to comparison either. It happens to the best of us. In this video, I'm gonna explain how I finally took my life back from constant comparison with others, and how I began to focus solely and joyfully and wholly on my own experience of life in every moment. And this is much easier said than done for overthinkers or perfectionists or people that were either brought up or have developed negative self-beliefs. Okay, so if you're having this problem where you're constantly comparing yourself to others and not feeling good enough about yourself, or even if you generally feel pretty good about yourself, but you just feel like too much of your mental space is occupied by the experiences, the lifestyles of other people, and it's just becoming overcluttered and overwhelming, I want you to evaluate this. Think about how much influence other people have on you right now. You know how our iPhones track how much screen time we use on certain apps? I wish in the same vein that there was something that tracked how much time and energy we actually spend every day thinking about other people. And caveat, it's great if those people inspire you. It's great if those people are teaching you something. But for me, I found that a lot of times the people I would compare myself to were not people that were really living in the path that I genuinely wanted. But seeing the way that these people live their lives and the decisions they made around their academics or their careers or their lifestyles made me feel FOMO, like, am I wrong to be on the path that I'm on? Even though deep in my heart, I know with conviction that I am on a meaningful path of my own. But constantly being barraged with the data of other people and their highlight reels made me question and compare myself. And this is especially hard in the modern world, where as soon as we open up our phone, there's a flood of data from everyone we know and strangers on the internet that we don't even know, their experiences, their thoughts, their perceptions, all the time, 24/7. The internet is essentially endless. I genuinely love people. I work with so many people every day, and I think it's great and the pinnacle of human existence to coexist and co-create with other people. But the problem that we're talking about and trying to solve in this video is when you start leaning towards unhealthy comparison or any form of shaming yourself or feeling hesitant or guilty in relation to someone's success, someone's needs from you, someone's judgment of you, etc., etc., etc. And now let me talk about the most obvious paradigm ever that for some reason I really only woke up to very recently after years and years of incessant comparison to others. That I knew was toxic and that I knew I didn't want to engage in, but still my brain kept doing it. So this year, on a random, fine, sunny day in the middle of doing nothing, I realized that to an absolute level, I will never have someone else's experience. This was my number one wish in college for a solid chunk of time. I wanted to trade experiences with someone else, anyone else, even just for a day. But recently, I finally actually awakened to this very absolutist and fundamental reality that I will never have someone else's experience, and someone else will never have my experience. I know that sounds like such an obvious thing, and I've heard so many variations of this over the years. Don't compare yourself to others. There's no point in comparison. Love yourself. But when I really thought about it from an absolutist, logical model sort of way, I realized that you won't ever even come close to having someone else's experience. I mean, no one in this world to date has truly been able to see the world finitely through someone else's perception. The most we can do are brain scans and scientific studies, or we can take recounts that are a layer removed by the construction of language. So for example, when someone writes an autobiography or creates a piece of content talking about their experience, that's already 2 layers removed, because by the time that they communicate it, it's 1 layer removed from their absolute perception and truth. And then by the time that we receive it through our own lens, it's another layer removed because it's biased through our perception and everything that's going on inside our heads. So the closest we'll ever be to someone else's experience is 2 important layers removed. I I thought about this, and I was like, this just solves every problem of comparison. I realized that I will never end up comparing myself to anyone again in the future because I've fundamentally realized that I will never have someone else's experience. Unless science and technology really, really advance rapidly, then one day there's a potentiality for that, but right now, that's not gonna happen. Even if you become an exact carbon copy of them, you say and talk exactly the same way you do, you eat the exact same things, you have the exact same lifestyle and career down to the T. You even have the same partner, relationships, family. You will still never truly be inside their heads, and so your experience is still going to look vastly different from theirs. Through a holographic analysis of reality, which we can't technically disprove, there's just so many things that we can't disprove about life and the phenomena of our existence. We can only hypothesize, but through that sort of holographic model, everything is essentially a projection, even our own perceptions. So it's so absolutely futile to try to benchmark to someone else's experience. Even if you copied and emulated every aspect of their existence down to the final singular T, you are not them at the end of the day. You are not them. This isn't Freaky Friday. This isn't Kimi no Nawa. I've never heard a single account of people actually being able to swap lives, swap brains, and swap experiences. So even if you want someone else's experience so bad and you do everything to recreate that in your own life, you're just playing pointless play pretend at the end of the day. And what is the implication of that? After all, no one spends so much time thinking about us in return. So if we're putting all our energy thinking about others, where does the intentionality to experience and co-create our own lives, where does that even go? Who is guiding our life? Who is making the decisions for us and helping us expand our lives and actually walk in the path that is meant for us? The armchair anthropologist in me, the people person in me, was so curious about the experiences and perceptions of other people. Pick probably any day out of the majority of days of me being a college student, and if you had asked me what I wanted most in that moment, it wouldn't have been $1 million, it wouldn't have been perfect grades, it would have been to trade experiences with someone, even just for a day. Just so I can see and experience the world outside of what felt like the limited perception of my brain and my own perspective. Growing up, I always thought there's some universal truth to being alive, to being human. But finally, this year I realized there really just might not be. And with that realization, the realization that almost everything is subjective and very little things, especially pertaining to humans, are absolute. Why waste another minute or ounce of energy over focusing on someone else's experience and comparing yourself? Circumstances can still vary almost infinitely if you really go into the complexities of our mind. There is no absolute playing field in life. Everyone is on their own path. And I hope that watching this video helps you dive more fully into your own. When you wonder and explore how individual perception actually works, you realize that comparison itself is philosophically futile. Thus, it is a waste of our time and energy. I always say on this channel that time and energy are two of our most precious resources that we cannot get back. All comparison really does is measure our outside conditions using different models, demographic samples, or distribution curves, which, let me remind you, is all designed by humans. But our actual experience of life extends far, far beyond what's on our outside layers, what can be easily measured and designed and categorized by other humans. Human systems and human communications are already inherently one layer removed from absolute reality. So in the human game, we are all operating in relative reality, and we must not forget that. It is key to our eventual liberation. So I hope this video was helpful and inspired some new thoughts. You might want to check out this video that I have about how to rebuild your self-esteem or how to eternally stay in balance. Just subscribe if you like this content, and I'll see you on my channel next time.